Special effects for movies are like makeup for women. You can definitely see the difference with and without it. It's the work behind the scenes, though, which creates the magic on screen. Spider-Man owes his superhuman strength and agility to a radioactive spider bite. The only problem is Tom Holland's an actor, and pole vaulting across the canal requires the assistance of cables. Don't worry though, they can scrub those out when adding in Hydro Man in post-production. Web slinging across the skies in New York can also be made possible because of this, although the look of fear might not always be an act. Tom Cruise is famous for performing all his own stunts, but this one had the cast and crew fearful for the famous actor's life. Riding a motorbike off a ramp on the side of a mountain takes some balls, and one wrong move sends the Mission Impossible star hurtling to his death. And just in case they didn't get the perfect shot on the first take, they had him do it 6 more times. When you have a scene as chaotic as this one from Fast X, you just know there's going to be a ton of Hollywood trickery used to pull it off. From overhead pulleys pulling the prop bomb, to exploding fire caps simulating a ruptured gas pump, there's no shortage of adrenaline-fueled madness. Speaking of, prop buses that split in half are expensive, so 3 different angles were all filmed simultaneously, just in case. We all know dinosaurs have been extinct for millions of years, but in Jurassic World Dominion, they had the next best thing.
The tongue moves.
Give him a voice.
Oh my god! It's amazing.
The rest of the enormous lizard was filled in with special effects to make for one terrifying encounter.
So now come up like 3 inches. That's right.
But sometimes you don't have the luxury of robotic dinosaurs or even the real actors. In this chase scene, Chris Pratt wasn't even in the country at the time of filming, so they used a stunt double and digitally added his face in much later. What if I told you John Wick didn't take on 6 sword-wielding motorcyclists while riding through the streets of New York? It all happened in a green studio, complete with fans, strobe lights that simulate street lights, and even morph suit guys controlling the motorbikes. And falling from a 4-story rooftop, Keanu's stunt double had a much easier landing than it looked in the final cut. No modern superhero is complete without a team of invisible stunt actors helping them fly, flip, and fight supervillains with CGI powers.
Oh my god! Oh, this is really bad!
But when Shazam had to catch an actual bus that had crashed over the side of an overpass, they needed to bring in the big guns. The whole sequence was filmed in slow motion, with heavy-duty suspension cables and a motorized jack lifting the 18,000-pound bus upright for the sequence. Rather than throwing Tom Holland out of an actual plane for this scene on Uncharted, they came up with a safer alternative. You'd think Spider-Man would be okay with doing his own aerial stunts, but I guess even superhumans need a day off sometimes. When Ryan Reynolds faced off against a jacked version of himself in Free Guy, it was impossible to find someone who checked all the boxes. Superhuman strength, plus good looks. So they reverted to the next best thing, a vaguely similar looking bodybuilder and a whole heap of CGI. The results was a surprisingly convincing boss fight featuring Ryan kicking his own ass. How do you create a realistic tsunami without the help of an underwater earthquake? Well, in the movie The Impossible, you start by shrinking a Thai resort down to miniature size, surrounding it with green screens, and then flooding the tiny diorama into oblivion. When you can't shrink the actors themselves, some creative sets and a whole lot of water help create the apocalyptic event. It's a way to make a horrible tragedy look like a fun little water slide. Green morph suit guys typically don't get a whole lot of credit, despite doing most of the heavy lifting. So in 2020's The Invisible Man, it was finally his time to shine. With the help of way too many things to keep track of, our green hero shows off his superhuman strength time and time again. This might look like a 5-star police chase straight out of GTA 5, but it's actually a behind-the-scenes look of the movie Ambulance. Prop cars sit on tracks, time-sensitive explosions, and all the extras playing cops know exactly when to get out of the way. For the most part, anyway. They only had one shot to pull it off, and the result is crazy. What do you call superheroes without powers? Adults in cosplay. But that's just the harsh reality of Supergirl and the Flash flexing their talents prior to the wonders of special effects. This shot of Sherlock Holmes and his arch-nemesis tumbling in slow motion over a waterfall in A Game of Shadows marks a fitting end to the franchise. But this scene definitely couldn't have been done on location